Hello and welcome to miniTalks by miniOrange. I'm your host Puja More, and today we'll be talking about digital identities, DPDP and compliance gaps. So when Digital Protection and Data Privacy Act was introduced in India, teams often considered it as just a policy update. However, in reality, it was a major shift in how identities, access and data is handled in companies. Today, we have with us Mr. Gaurav Bansod, who is a Director of Strategic Alliances and Partnerships in miniOrange. He also holds a PhD in Cybersecurity. So welcome to miniTalks, sir. How are you?
I am good. Thank you, Puja, for calling me here, and whatever the bit of experience we got in the global market, also in India, we'll try to share and hopefully it makes sense.
Of course. So Gaurav, when we talk about digital compliance frameworks, where do identities really fit in this picture?
Yeah, so it's not the today's scenario, but from last, I think, 40-50 odd years, the whole story of cybersecurity revolves around identities. So until unless you don't fix the core problem, which is identities, because there are a lot of organizations which comes with a destructured data, destructured identities, and these identities are lying everywhere. They are into your databases, they are into your HRMS, they are into your CRMS, they are into your AD. Until unless you don't fix the problem of identities, I don't think so we take the one step ahead in, cluttering the noise and identifying the signal around it. Yeah. So compliance has always been around identities, whether it's a privacy, whether it's a security compliance, whether it's, the local compliances, they always talk about fixing the identity first. So I think it has been ages since we are solving this problem, and still it's evolving.
So Gaurav, you've been working in this field for years now. So as per your experience, what are the pain points that companies usually go through?
Okay, I think this is very broader question, but to summarize this part, I think most of the time the story is always around the basic problem that we can fix it easily. But there is a lot of chaos and confusion happens because of a lot of compliances, not I will say compliances, but because of the tools available in the market. So I think most of the time the organizations across the globe go through a problem of identifying the gaps properly. They don't identify the gaps. Yeah. And without identifying the gap, they start looking for the tools which are there available in the market.
Yeah.
So because of that, their scenario cannot be fixed properly because they are not actually identified what is needed.
Yeah.
And tools generally consisting of 120 odd features, but do they really need that features? Do they really, by using that tool, do they really solve the challenge? I think that is the major concern. So identifying the gap, the first thing I think organizations can do. And for that, they have multiple CISOs on their network. They have consultants who can actually see exactly how their infrastructure is, how the organization is working. Yeah. Every organization is different.
Yeah.
I cannot compare my house with your house, right? Okay. There are different elements associated with it. Might be you need a dishwasher because you are having 10 to 12 people in your house. Might be I'm having only 3 people in my house. So I don't need a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if you buy a dishwasher, you recommend and I buy a dishwasher. But is that needed? That's the question. So most of the time, we generally advocate our clients to identify the gaps properly. And I think that is the biggest pain point we have. So most of the time we advocate.
Yeah.
Not to sell, but we advocate, this is your infrastructure, this is the core problem. Do you have AD? If you have AD in a place, where are your identities stored? How they are being authenticated? Are there any legacy applications which are out of the scope? And once we see the holistic picture, then we can go for the solutioning.
Yeah.
Without understanding every corner of your house, you cannot set the house properly.
Correct.
So that's the story.
So you mentioned tools, and of course there'll be plethora of tools available in the market. So is there, where do companies actually go wrong when it comes to selecting the tools or getting the right tools for themselves?
Correct. So tool has been there from many years, and every tool comes with its cost.
Yeah.
And cost as well.
Yes.
But companies nowadays understand that tool can solve the problem definitely.
Yes.
But it's also important to educate the employees, the consumers.
Yeah.
And might be there are 3 tools you need to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And might be there are 10 more tools you need to fix the problem. So it's not always about how many tools you have. It's always about which tool is addressing what problem. So I will tell you an example that most of the time the organizations do have VPNs in place, and most of the time it happens that they buy the VPN and it goes into the production, and later because of some intrinsic issues or compliances, they figure out they need on top of VPN MFA, multi-factor authentication, which they buy it obviously. But over the period of time, they also understand that they not only need the multi-factor authentication on top of VPN, but they need multi-factor authentication on their desktops, their Windows machines, their applications, so forth.
Basically, all of the devices.
All of the devices. Yeah. So they buy these solutions in trenches.
Okay.
Because they do not have a holistic understanding, right? Yeah. If the consultant or CISO, if security officer says that MFA that is what is basic needed, not only to cover your VPNs, but also to network devices, routers, switches, firewalls, they can solve the problem with one tool.
Yes.
They don't have to buy MFA for VPN from one vendor, MFA from network devices from another vendor. Like that, what they do is basically for the one solution, they have multiple tools in the picture. So I think it all starts with the basic understanding, and whatever the chaotic problem it has, it should have a very simpler nature to address it.
So basically, this is where the gap understanding comes into the picture, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think most of the time what we do here also is we advocate the customer. We generally don't jump on selling our stuff. We understand their infrastructure. We understand their house.
Yes.
We understand what kind of tools already they are using. Are those tools, existing tools, are sufficient enough to cater to their needs, or do they need a plugin? Might be a plugin can help.
Yes.
You don't need a bulky tool. Might be a plugin can solve your problem. So I think that is where the organization is heading to.
Now we are talking about data, we are talking about identity, and there are many organizations in India that are actually doing business internationally. So coming to the and welcoming the elephant in the room, where do international compliances come in the picture?
Correct. So international compliances, for example, any organization who is doing business in US, might be they need to comply with the regulations like HIPAA, or any local regulations. Might be if I am doing a business in Europe, I need to comply with GDPR.
Yes.
If I am doing business in Australia, then it should be Essential 8. If I am doing business in UK, it will be DORA or NIST. If I'm doing business in India, then it should be DPDP, RBI, CERT, and all that compliances. So stories across the globe, there are different compliances. But if you observe them carefully, you will find the same thread is used to stitch all these compliances. Because as miniOrange is having a global customers, and we fit in the bucket of each customer. The reason is they all talk about basically how the identities are managed. They all talk about how the identities are authenticated. They all talk about multi-factor authentication. They all talk about admins accessing servers, databases in secured way.
Yeah.
So, as you rightly mentioned or asked, basically, the compliances across globe, you will always find identities to be the core element.
Yes.
And that's how, our miniOrange story is revolved around. How we fix the identities, whether they are stored in AD, how we authenticate those identities to access what kind of applications. Do they have a right access to those applications? And over the period of time, when, for example, if I move from manager to senior manager, definitely my penetration inside the application plethora changes.
Yes.
So how that can be monitored, how that can be automated, and without automation you cannot solve a problem. That is the crux. So I think compliance point of view, the compliances which are mentioned, few of them, all they talk about solving the identity chaos.
Yes. Like you mentioned, miniOrange deals with customers of all scales, from small scale to medium size to enterprise level customers. What is the difference in use cases do you see when dealing with these customers, or are there any similarities? Are there any similar pain points that you see or solve?
Yeah, so I think it's a very good question, Pooja. As you rightly mentioned, we have customers who uses us for 500 users.
Yeah.
We have customers who are using us for 8 to 9 million users per month. So scalability wise, we deal with small to medium to enterprise customers. But you need to understand, basically what we offer them is the same solution. For example, let's take multi-factor authentication. We do multi-factor authentication for Windows VPN for 500 users. We do multi-factor authentication for 8 to 9 million user licenses.
Yeah.
But as you rightly mentioned, that use case would be same, but the story around how that is fabricated, how that is fit into their house organization is different. When we talk about 7 to 8 million user licenses per month, what we think about is scalability. What we think about is how their production should not be impacted. So they might be having multiple servers in the place. So scale is the, I think, the differentiator. They might have the backups, they might be have a DCDR setup, they might be having HA availability, they might go for on-premise because they trust their data center servers more as compared to our cloud service. Our cloud service do have 99.99% of HA. We have customers who are using our SaaS as well. So, and when it comes to the organization who are having only 500 users, they also think with respect to how that 500 users should able to authenticate and log in properly. So I think use case wise, what we offer is a similar solution, but the scale wise, the production, what you can say, the impact what they have would be a different scenarios. And when it comes to the larger enterprises, there might be a complex stories, because they might be having multiple tools which are already existing. So now the problem comes is how our tool can integrate with those existing tools. Might be those customers which are small or medium, they might be having fewer tools, so integration is quicker. Might be the deployment cycles are larger. So I think with respect to the integration complexities, when it comes to the enterprise customers, it takes time, deployment takes time. But having said that, most of the larger enterprises are having a lot of legacy applications, lot of applications which doesn't support any protocol, and they wanted to bring all these applications into a single platform. And then how you pick up that story, how you fix with your solution, how you customize your solution according to their tailored infrastructure, there lies the main success. And with the smaller organization, it becomes easy. So I had seen in my career, basically all these organizations suffer the similar problem, they go through the similar problem, but the scale at which we solve, we deploy the solution matters the most.
So is there any use case that has stayed with you? Like, you might not mention the name of the organization, but is there any use case that was really complicated and has stayed with you because, yes, this is something different that we have done in miniOrange?
Yeah, so there are many, because that's how we learn.
Yeah.
And I'm really blessed to be on the customer side always, because that's where actually, the real input comes.
Yeah.
And that's how your product grows.
Yeah.
So we are dealing with one of the major government client in the European region, and they had a very typical use cases. And European region earlier known for the stricter laws.
Yes.
They have a very local, what you can say, authenticity that need to be preserved.
Yep.
So we have a very important government customer who deals with around 30,000 employees. And they also manages around 1 to 2 million consumers identities. And So there we had a typical problem that their employees are staggered into multiple databases. They have AD, they have databases, they have also HRMS systems, and they are having one critical applications where the employees log in, where the third-party contractor logins, and where the consumer also log in. And they also had one legacy applications where they wanted the experience to be as seamless as the application which support all protocol. And they wanted to bring those applications onto a single platform. We solved it for them. I remember we presented them the customized solution where the employees or the consumer or the contractor login into their application, as compared to the application which is very standard applications, they have a same look and feel. And most important is they did not want a downtime. They don't want a user or a consumer to log in and then looped into getting a service request to log into that application.
Yeah.
We have solved them for them. We have multiple data servers, databases. We have ensured that, and it was definitely an on-premise.
Yeah.
And this is the third year that they are paying renewal, and that matters the most.
So it must be, I wouldn't say, I'm not sure if fun is the real term I should use over here, but of course, when we solve problems at this level, it feels like an achievement.
Correct. Level, scale, and that gives you the satisfaction,
Yes.
right? When customers, we know that our solution is better, but when customer says,
Yeah.
in an European organization, you are dealing with the largest government client, and they are using us from last 2 years.
Yes.
And being a Indian company, if you could able to achieve that scale, I think there is no bigger satisfaction than that, and that's motivate us, that motivates our developer, and that motivates, I think, whole of India, that being a bootstrap Indian company, how we could have a global success story.
So coming back to India, and we've been talking about European compliances. Let's talk about DPDP. What DPDP actually means to Indian businesses today?
Yeah, so DPDP, they have launched their first version in 2023. It's more about the privacy than security, but it's always about how the privacy laws can be managed, how the information can be retained, how the information can be stored, how the consent, the unified consent can be picked up. I cannot ask each and every details about you without having a purpose in the place. So what DPDP adheres is whatever the information I will consume as a vendor, it should have a purpose. To tell you in a simple example is an employee cannot access the payroll data in order to roll out the birthday wish. You got my point. Payroll data may consisting of the birth date, but employee should not have an access to that payroll to roll out the birthday. So there should be, the privacy, there should be consent. Whatever the information you are storing into a system, that all need to have a purpose. That all need to be consented. And it's not only about the cookie-based consent. It's a unified consent. And how the data flows into a system. For example, let's take an example, very common example of Zomato. So you are a consumer and Zomato is the application, and might be the data is stored on some of the cloud services like AWS. So when you log in into Zomato, and when data flows from user to Zomato to AWS, are there any residues? How this data is, stored, or how this data is protected? This all controls, safeguarding controls, and how this privacy can be used as a tool to address the issues and the penalties around it. This all has been very carefully crafted in DPDP Act.
Yeah. So like I mentioned in my introduction, that Indian companies, or basically teams, consider this just as a policy update, but it is a major shift. What are the misunderstandings that companies have today when it comes to DPDP Act?
So I think the basic understanding, misunderstanding what companies have is they get confused between privacy and security, which are the two different aspects.
Correct.
They are stitched together, but they are the two different aspects. So they need to also understand that whenever they are fixing privacy issue, definitely there will be a data security issues, because privacy talks about the data.
Yes.
Data at transit, data at rest,
Yes.
data is stored, data is retained, how long it is retained, and how it would be deleted. But at the same point of time, it also talk about a particular person is having an access to specific application or server in the right way or not. For example, which I mentioned, if you are accessing employee payroll data for accessing the birth date of an employee, it doesn't make sense, right? There is a privacy issue, but at the same time, how a one person is having an access to right application, that also matters the most. So it's basically a conjecture of two different pillars, which is privacy and security, but that need to be holistically stitched together to tell the story. So I think organizations slowly are realizing how their privacy is maintained, how their privacy issue is solved, but they need to also think with respect to the data.
Yeah.
How long the data should be in the system. And this is not possible without the use of any automation or tool. So I think that's where I think the current, most of the people which we interact, they fail to understand the difference between privacy and security. And there are many tools available in the market which talks about this too. But again, I'm talking about the first problem is compliance is only a mandate. But if you understand your environment well, and if you put the right tools in the place, I think you will automatically satisfy the compliance point of view. It's not the other way around. Compliances are there, that's why you need to do this. That is a traditionally age-old frugal method.
Yeah.
But if we stitch our story right, if we put our house right, if we identify the gaps right, automatically it satisfies the most of the compliances. So I think that shift we are seeing it from last 4 or 5 years, where companies identify the gaps and then they put the modules into it, and automatically they get compiled to most of the compliances. Other way around, it's I think rarely we see the aspect. But I think we are growing with respect to the cybersecurity scenario.
I guess the other way around would be more tedious than going.
It's tedious, and I think it all also depends on the priority. I understand with respect to the Indian companies, when any company start the business, it's all about getting the revenue in.
Correct.
Right? So might be the security would not be the most priority.
Right.
Might be when they settle the cards, when they settle everything, they might look as this is what is needed. And I think this is typically any organization, not only Indian, any organization does this part. But I think with the compliances, people are more aware about the security measures to be pulled in. Lot of open source material, the company like us who advocate to the customer instead of just selling our solution.
So you mentioned that eventually the organizations or companies are understanding the importance of data privacy, data security, and they are evolving with age. How has the cyber security scenario evolved, or how is it evolving globally as well as in India?
Yeah, so I think the threat landscape has changed.
Yes.
So the dimensions, so the non-state actor played a very important role. Lot of attacks are nowadays happening also from the inside sources.
Correct.
Might be a disgruntled employees does something, steal the data, send it. So this attack surface has widened. And cybersecurity from last 30-40 odd years has always been a challenging field, because hackers or any antisocial element finds a way out. So it is rightly said that the next war would be fought not on the fields first, but it is always on the air.
Yes.
It is always on the internet, and you had seen in Operation Sindoor and many other scenarios that people, or even in the Russia-Ukraine war, people started targeting power grids. People started targeting the internet associated with the government facilities. So attacks are happening, scenario is changing, platforms are evolving, and so are the problems. You take any any regulatory, you can say organization, let's say fintech or a bank, they have plethora of tools available. They have every tools which addresses the data concern. But does it mean they don't have a problem to address?
Yeah.
We recently met one of the largest consumer bank in India, and they had given us 5 to 6 different problems which they are trying to solve, and they have every other tool available in their infrastructure. So that's the learning. So even though the largest and the biggest organization, they still have problem to address. It's a long way to go, and that's where the real problem statement comes in for a company like us. And we started addressing those problems. We started addressing the use case. So as rapidly this cybersecurity landscape is changing, so are we as a product company, and that's basically give us a motivation to solve the customer's pain point with our customized solution.
Yeah, correct. So it will be unfair if we don't mention AI, because it's a hot topic lately. So what role does AI play in this whole scenario? Of course, AI attacks are increasing like rapidly, and like you mentioned, even a major bank which you are dealing with right now has n number of problems. What role is AI playing in this whole scenario?
See, AI has changed the threat landscape in a 360-degree change. People are writing code, debugging it, generating a lot of material within seconds. And there is a lot of data associated with those AI tools. A lot of data has been fed.
Yes.
And all those repositories are foreign based.
Correct.
We are dealing with many Indian government clients who are typically not in favor of using these AI tools because their whole repository is in the cloud.
Yeah.
And if they don't use it, they will fall behind.
Yeah.
So AI is changing the threat landscape. But what is also important is to ensure that how this data can be securely sent to all those LLMs, how this data can be perfectly modeled, and to understand your use cases, and to understand how agentic AI or how AI is disrupting your system. So I think moving forward, a lot of people are working towards it, how this data associated with the AI can be protected well, how it can be secured well, and how it cannot be, profusely used in some other way. So I think in times to come, you will find a lot of research, lot of tools, which also will guard this boundary of, AI being misused.
Yeah. So while we are talking about AI, I would take this opportunity to mention that we have a conference coming up, which is called as the Identity Shield Summit in January, 16th and 17th of January, happening in Pune, which is set to be an AI-centric conference where we'll be discussing a lot of use cases around cybersecurity, cloud security in the age of AI. And Mr. Gaurav Bansod is going to take a session on DPDP in the same conference. So if you're listening to this or watching this before the Identity Shield Summit conference, do come and visit the conference. You will hear, you get a chance to meet Mr. Gaurav Bansod in person, resolve all your doubts, resolve all your confusions, gaps of DPDP compliances and cybersecurity. There are many cybersecurity professionals, CISOs, CXOs are coming to this conference, taking sessions. So here's your chance to come and meet these people in person. So thank you, Gaurav, for shedding light on this very hot topic, but slightly being ignored by many companies in India. and I hope you had a good time on miniTalks.
Yeah, I think it's. I did not come prepared for it. I think the questions you asked automatically reflects the past experience what I had with respect to the global audiences, and I think hopefully the audience also can take 2 cents out of it.
Yes.
And as you rightly mentioned, Identity Shield, one of the I think largest cybersecurity conference happening in India. Around 5,000 plus cybersecurity enthusiasts coming out there. Great line of speakers, CISOs, CTOs, those who are really knowledgeable. They are coming. I am looking forward to it. So hopefully everyone should be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, of course, I might not have covered everything or every question that you have when it comes to DPDP or compliances. Is there a way that people can reach out to you?
So what we can do is we can just send out my email address on after this podcast gets over on the chat link, or they can also reach out to our miniOrange IDP support, and automatically whatever the problem they have, we can able to resolve them by best way possible, whatever little we know.
So thank you everyone for listening to us. See you in the next episode.